How do we trust ourselves more? What's the protocol?
The number one thing, and this is someone, whether you're a true deadbeat living in your mom's basement, or like I said, a more high-performing individual with a lot of the boxes checked, and that is...
I think we have gotten the concept of self-love wrong.
That is the key to confidence. That's the key to another level of love. That is the key to raising our vibration, achieving a better energy that will then attract everyone and everything you've ever desired.
And the more your energy will be infected with a negativity virus that you caused.
But let's say he's average or below average when it comes to looks, when it comes to height. There's obviously some things out of his control, right? What I would say to them is that a confident, kind man has never had a problem attracting a woman.
Not listening to that voice that tells you through divine intelligence what to do in all moments. This is not a voice in the mind, this is a voice in the body. If you listen to that voice, you are the most authentic you can possibly be in that moment.
The truth is the gateway to love, and love is the gateway to all connection.
Welcome back to Listen Before Love. We are back again, my darling.
So glad to be here.
Woo! And we are going to cook up some gourmet dishes in the kitchen today, my love, because today's topic is inspired by people who come to us and say, y'all do this for a living. What advice would you give to me? I am an ambitious man or woman. I've got most of my life together, and I'm just missing the love of my life. Where do I start? Help me. And, in some cases, our rates are pretty high. We're pretty expensive. We're expensive, let's just be honest. And we deserve to be expensive. We're very good at what we do. But we want to, as always, serve and share as much value and information and advice for free as humanly possible. And I want to give one quick shout out to the wonderful woman who inspired this topic today. There is a gorgeous single mother who came to the Austin Walk a couple of weeks ago who came up to me and was like, girl, I love your podcast. I want to work with you when I get my money up because I know you're worth every penny, but I am not in that position right now. Where would you tell me to start? What am I doing wrong? What do you notice? And this episode is for anyone in that position, anyone who recognizes that they have most of their stuff together, but the love train just ain't moving for them. So let's be tactical. Let's kick it off with a mock conversation for people who come and want to work with us. And we're going to start with Mr. Cam. So let us imagine for a moment, y'all, that you are an ambitious man who's got his life together pretty much. He's got a good job or a business. He got a group of friends. He puts himself out there every now and then, but he just can't figure out the love equation. And he finds Cam through this podcast and says, I think this man can help me in 3 or 6 months. So he books an exploratory call with Cam and says, hey man, what do I do? Where do we start? What do you tell that man, baby?
Oh man, well first off, this is exactly what I've been waiting for in this podcast. Listen Before Love, we're actually talking about the granular details of how to get there, right? There's incredible stories we've shared about our own love life of others, and that's all been fantastic, but now is time for people that are really ready to make a change. I want to give it to them directly. Listen Before Love is the perfect way to describe it, and one thing I want to add to that is, before we can receive love from others, we need to increase the capacity of love we have for ourselves. Life as a whole is a mirror of what's already going on within. If you're pessimistic, if you believe the world is out to get you, it will be. If you're optimistic and you believe everything happens for you, it will be. Now, we need to prime ourselves in a way that will attract exactly what we want for life. In this case scenario, it would be more than likely attract the women that you want, but this works for everything. This works for opportunities, this works for money, this works for health, this works for all of life. It all really comes down to understanding how, like I said, we can increase the capacity of love we have for ourselves. Now, this is never taught in schools. Some of the people that have been very successful in one aspect of life, like billionaires to say the least, are still miserable people. And this is why they skip this step when it comes to understanding human nature. As I already said, as within, so without. And so if we want to attract a lover, if we want to attract a life partner, we need to first love ourselves to the same level you want them to love you. To the same level you know as if you're going to love them. We need to give that love to ourselves first, and then we will attract everyone and everything around us that matches that. So for most men, I feel as if, as a man, we always kind of have this checklist in our mind, right? It's money, fitness, relationships, like friendships, and then also romantic relationships. Some of us have a few other buckets of life that we want to expand on, but that's really about it. And every man either knows, if they're being honest with themselves, which is oftentimes hard to nowadays, but if they're being honest with themselves, they understand if those checklist items are checked off completely, like, yeah, I'm good to go in that case scenario, in that section, or they have like I wouldn't call it an X, but something in between. It's kind of like a work in progress. I'm getting there. I'm on the right track. And then there's the obvious X, like I need something to change in this area because something is not right. And so for the men out there that have an X in one or multiple areas, I am having them consider a new approach, an approach that has helped myself personally and many, many, many of my one-on-one clients I've had, along with the thousands of people that have consumed our content over the past year. And that is understanding that the next level up in life is not to add another zero to your net worth, is not to make a six-pack on your body pop even more. The next level up in life is going to come to learning to love this human experience more, learning to love yourself more. Because people that are in love with their life and every aspect of it attract others that are also the same. And so if you want to have a happy marriage, the one common denominator for all happy marriages is that there are two happy people within them. But if you're not happy, either you're going to attract someone that's also not happy, that's going to lead to a divorce more than likely, or just a miserable marriage for a lifetime. Or if you, for some reason, find someone happy, you've coerced them somehow, even though you're miserable, to match up with them and marry you, that's probably not going to last long. And so what I recommend is get as happy as freaking possible. And I know this isn't really that popular to say, but happiness is a choice. It's not just coincidental. Happiness is a formula. And so if we can make ourselves as happy as we possibly can, we have no choice but to attract an environment around us that meets that same level of happiness. And so, like I was mentioning earlier, we don't need to add another zero to the bank account or have any other external metric to attract the dream girl, despite what every influencer is telling you. What we need to do is create a life that we deeply, deeply enjoy. And how do we do that, right? There's a lot of things that are in our control in life, a lot of things that are out of control in our life. So let's say, for example, this same guy we're talking about is making good money, has good friends, takes his health pretty seriously. But let's say he's average or below average when it comes to looks, average, below average when it comes to height. There's obviously some things out of his control, right? What I would say to them is that a confident, kind man has never had a problem attracting a woman. A confident, kind man, genuinely loving man, has never had a problem attracting a woman. No matter what his net worth says, no matter how tall he is, if he has those characteristics that objectively every human wants to be around, they will do just fine. And so what does it take to become kind, loving, caring, confident? In this world, the far, far, far majority of adults don't understand that their human behavior is based off of a wound from the past. We see it a lot where, it's kind of a funny thing out there. Like if you see a stripper, right? I'm born in Las Vegas. I have many classmates that are now strippers and, classmates' parents that are strippers. Nothing wrong with strippers. Yeah, it's weird here in Vegas.
That's another podcast.
A bunch of different things. There's always a thing of like, okay, if your daughter becomes a stripper, that means you're a bad father, right? And so I don't want to put that out there as, you're a terrible father if your daughter chooses in her own life for that to be the case. But what I do believe happens is that people gravitate towards business opportunities, careers, lovers, friends that are reflections of what they had or did not have as a child. So if you were born in a chaotic environment, the first 7 to 18 years of your life were chaos, the next 50, 80 years of your life, either you're going to repeat that or you're going to dramatically do the opposite, right? And so if you had a father that withheld love from you, right, could not tell you to your face the words, I love you, or just wasn't present. As humans, naturally, we are looking for our parents' approval, our parents' pat on the back, because in our primal minds, that meant safety. And we will do whatever it takes to be safe. And so if your father only gave you attention when you made money or when you did well in sports or when you achieved, most of us are now spending the rest of our lives following that same cycle, that same formula for our parents' love. So the job we have, the LinkedIn resume that we have, the people we've dated, the aesthetics of our life are often based off approval from someone else that we feel as if we need. And so what's happening there is we're operating from a place of fear. Because when we're operating from a place of we need approval from others, that means that we believe that we are not perfect exactly how we are. And that to be safe, we need everyone around us to like us and give us a 2 thumbs up. So that causes us to give off this energy that no one is really attracted to. It's this energy of, okay, what can I do to make you feel safe? What do I need to say? How do I need to be? Mr. Nice Guy, whatever it is. We are manipulating our behavior. We're curating our behavior in a way to appease everyone in our life. And it's robbing us of our own peace, love, and happiness. That's a lot I just said there. Is there anything you want to add to that?
I want to dive in on this energy and what this feels like, because what you just underscored there, where you are basically acting out certain parts of your personality and testing the audience to see, oh, well, this hit. Oh, this person likes me when I do this, and they don't like when I do this. So I'm going to stop doing this and do this thing more. Whenever you modulate your own energy, you're not being authentic. And this is what I think, this is so granular, that when you're doing it, you think you're actually being nice. You think you're being accommodating. But being accommodating to people while sacrificing your own self, your own energy, your own desires is not kind, because it's not honest. There's a difference between niceness and kindness, and being Mr. Nice Guy gets you nowhere for very long. Because if you are not being your full authentic self around women and everyone around you can feel it. Now, this is the thing that I don't think people realize when they do have this edge of, I need to pressure test my audience. I need to see if I act this way, she likes this, and then she doesn't like it. If you're doing any of that, people feel it. You're not fooling anyone, and you're not fooling yourself. The voice in your head that's probably very negative also knows what you're doing. The voice in your head that's telling you, I'll give you a tactical example. At the walks, I've shared before many times that the first 30 walks that I hosted were a nightmare for me. Why? Because I did not know who I was at the time. And because I did not know who I was, what I desired, what I wanted the space to be, what I wanted around me, I was allowing any old person to come into my space, waste my time, talk to me for longer than I wanted them to, put their own agendas on my space, and I just let it happen. So I'd let this happen. I'd people please and accommodate my way in front of these people, and I'd go home and be like, oh my God, I can't believe that person wasted 2 hours of my time. They didn't waste my time though. I wasted my time. At any moment, I could have said, it was so great talking to you. I'm going to go now. Instead of sitting in the parking lot for hours. There were times, just because I didn't want to disappoint people who wanted to talk to me, I would be in the parking lot after the walks until 6 p.m. I'm not kidding. The event ends at 10:30. And I'd be standing there talking to people until 6 p.m. And I'd go home. I'd literally feel like I was going to pass out. This is in the first beginning of the walks. Now, what's happening there? When I do all of this, I overstretch, overaccommodate, overgive of my energy, my time, my precious resource. Then I go home and I say, fuck these people. Why? It's not their fault. They were simply asking questions and I was answering them until 6 p.m. And in my head, the voice, now this is the voice that if you don't listen to it, this is when the inauthenticity grows, okay? It's the voice in your head. That's your intuition. Sometimes it's your fear, but a lot of the times the deep, deep down voice that does the thing that's a little bit more scary, says the scary thing. It's actually trying to tell you signals like, hey, you want to leave this conversation now. Oh, this isn't feeling good. Let's leave. Let's leave. Let's leave. And you just ignore the voice, right? And you stay, and you heard the voice say that. So the longer you spend in the interaction that you didn't want to be in, after hearing that voice, the more you will resent the person you were talking to, and the more your energy will be infected with a negativity virus that you caused. And this is what I just wanted to really double click on, because not listening to that voice that tells you through divine intelligence what to do in all moments. This is not a voice in the mind. This is a voice in the body. Leave this conversation. It's time to end the event. I am going to turn left now. I want to go for a walk out of nowhere. You know what voice I'm talking about. If you listen to that voice, you are the most authentic you can possibly be in that moment. And that's what I think you're saying. And when people say, well, I'm just being myself. And what do you mean? What would you say to those people?
You're not being yourself. You are behaving in a way that best suits your need for approval of others. So what I was hinting at before when it comes to the stripper, when it comes to all these things, is they are living a life in which they need the affirmation that they're okay, that they can be loved because they're doing this. And it's actually robbing them of what they actually want to do in life. And so in the situation where you're talking for, I never knew it was even possible, but till 6 p.m. on a walk that started at 8 a.m. to just people that wanted to take your time. And you, in your head, knew, all right, it's time to go home. It's time to turn left, whatever it is. What's happening here is you are incrementally losing trust within yourself because you're feeling one way, but you're acting another. And also you're building a little bit of hate and resentment towards other people. And so because you did not act on what felt right within, you think of yourself in a lesser light and you have more hatred for the world around you. Yes. Even if in your mind, like, oh, I'm doing this for them because they obviously want to speak to me. But you are creating more hatred in that dynamic because you're putting up with something that you know doesn't fit right in the moment. And so for us to, back to that example, have men shift their energy in a way that will attract everything they've ever wanted in life, we need to start acting upon those events in the most truthful way possible. Whatever feels right in the moment, no matter what fear is coming up, no matter what fear is arising, we need to do in the most loving way what is right for us. And when you do that, situation by situation, you are building, that's exactly what builds one's confidence, builds one's love they have for themselves, that will then exude out to everyone and everything around them, that will attract the exact people that are meant to be in their lives. And so this is just an example I think a lot of people have been in before, whether it's a conversation they want to leave, they just want to allow themselves to. That's all oftentimes stemming from a wound that if I don't stay here and be present with this person and continue to talk to this person, they're going to feel some type of way about me that probably isn't desirable. And if they don't feel desirable towards me, they don't feel affection towards me, that means I'm lesser of a person. That means I'm not loved. That means I'm not safe. That means I'm going to die. That's what our primal mind leads us to, because we feel that emotion of fear that comes from that kind of fifth step, sixth step way of thinking. We fear that as we're talking to them, and that fear keeps us in there. But we need to realize that that's actually not the case at all. No matter how this person views you, you're going to be okay. Which goes against everything that a lot of us have picked up on in the first, whether it's 7, 18, 35 years of our life, as if we need to be a certain way to be okay, to be safe, to be loved. That's actually all bullshit. We are perfect exactly how we are, and everything's going to be okay as long as we believe it is as such. So for men, if you're in that situation I described earlier, where you have everything, you've checked the far majority of the boxes besides finding your dream person, you're average or below average in attractiveness, in height, in intelligence. Well, if you're watching this show, you're probably pretty intelligent, to put that out there.
Yeah.
But if not everything's going for you, the one thing that you can change, like we mentioned, is going to be the trust within yourself, the confidence you exude to the external world. Those two are the same, along with the love and care you pour into others. So before we can pour it into others, we need to pour it into ourselves. And so when these moments arise, we need to start doing what genuinely feels right in that moment, as opposed to doing what we want, we at least what we believe they want from us. That may not actually be the truth. I assume most people in your life want you to leave if you feel like leaving. But we've created a story as if for their approval, for their love, I need to act in a certain way. But all that's just bullshit. And if you take it back super, super far and you look at all aspects of your life, like, why am I actually doing this? Is it because I want to, or is it for the approval of my parents, approval of friends, approval of society? That will cause people to question just about everything. And that's what a lot of our clients end up doing, because they start off with, oh, I just want to, get the girl or get the guy. But they're like, oh crap, I'm in the wrong profession, because this looks really good on my resume for, my friends to pat me on the back and everything, but I don't actually want that, but that's a whole other story in itself. But if a man came to me with that situation and he wanted to increase the trust he has for himself and his confidence, we need to start by shifting our behavior and trusting ourselves that when we get that inner feeling that it's time to leave that conversation, it's time to go here, it's time to start that, we do it. Now that can be incredibly hard to do, especially out of the gate. There's usually a transitionary period, which can be very difficult. One thing that I want to remind others is that the one thing stopping us in this all is fear. But the fear we currently have of the world is not accurate. It is the compilation of all our human experiences combined together to have a default feeling within that dictates how we live this life. So everyone has a different, what I would call, percentage of fear or ratio of fear to love within their life currently, and that has always been shifting. Recently, it's currently late November. The election was not too long ago. There has been a lot of fear in the air right now around politics, which of course I think affects our life to some extent, but not that much, right? But we've had so much fear in the air, and people haven't realized that it's actually affecting other aspects of life. Because if you believe the world's going to end in the next 4 years, or it's all going to shit in the climate change, all these other things, I'm not saying that's true or false, but I am saying is that when we have that fear in our lives, it is pouring into other buckets of life. It's not just us separating how the collective, how the world is going, and our own life. It's all a gray area. It's all intertwined. And so the fear you have over here is going to pour in the fear you have in other aspects. And so a lot of people who are pessimistic about the future of society, of course, are going to be pessimistic about their own life too, especially when it comes to dating, because they see all the statistics they have on the news. They see how many people are now lonely. They see how terrible Tinder and Hinge and all these apps are, or whatever it is. And they're creating a world image that paints a picture that doesn't serve them. And what I feel is the one thing that you and I have realized over the past handful of years has dramatically changed our life is that the world is not as it is. It is how we choose to see it. We create our own reality in every single moment. And so a lot of the work we do is having people shed the aspects of life that are currently projecting fear onto them. Make them realize that what they're saying could be happening, but it may not be applicable to them. And so any friend that says, oh, good luck finding a girl, good luck with this, women are all bad nowadays, have you seen how they act on these apps? Whatever BS they're saying, if you believe that, you will see that. There's no good men out there, there's no good women out there. If you believe that, you will continue to see that. I've known when I've shifted my perspective to, before meeting you, that I'm only going to attract high quality women that are potentially worthy of marrying one day. These are long-term partners. The only people I date, long-term partners that are kind, caring, also very intelligent and competent. And I said, this is my vision for who I want to be with long-term. And this is what I believe is out there. The moment I said that to be true, literally said that, is the moment I start to see it. But if a few weeks prior, I was like, there's no good women out there, it's super hard to get married, I'll probably be single the rest of my life, XYZ, I would have continued on that track. And so once I allowed myself to believe in a bigger picture, the world gave me evidence that that is possible. And the world also gave me tests to, like we were mentioning earlier, those situations of having to leave the conversation or whatever it is. As soon as I said I want to live a more positive living life, the world gave me tests to show me where I'm not, to show me where I'm unfree. And so tests came in of a certain conversation you'd had with college friends, a certain conversation you'd have with my cousin, a certain conversation you'd have with an ex-girlfriend, my parents, all different aspects of life prompted me with the situation to show where I was unfree, where I was living in untruth, living a lie, and had me confront it and had me tell the truth, even when it was incredibly, incredibly painful. And it may have shocked the way they view me, but it was necessary in my development to regain my confidence back by keeping the promises I make to myself. And so you're probably thinking right now, like, okay, this is great, tell the truth more, great, but how is it actually going to make me attract the dream woman? Now, of course, I can tell you all the same things that everyone online will say is, yeah, it's probably good to invest in your wardrobe to make sure, you got some style, get a good haircut, do all, those are definitely great positives to have. But if your vibe is whack, none of that shit matters. None of it matters.
Yeah.
I've met, of course, I'm only into women, but I've met men and they've gave me that energy and I'm also repulsed by them. I've met women that are the exact same. So we need to shift again that energy, the vibe we're giving off. Every single woman on the planet wants a man that they can trust, that feels strong, while also caring, loving, and considerate in all moments. We do that, like I said, by increasing the capacity of love we have for ourselves. Therefore, we exude that out to the world. And also taking steps to become more present. Women want to be seen. They want to be heard in all moments. And we need to, as men, evolve into a place where we are capable of doing that. When we are with our girlfriend, when we're with our future wife, when we're with our kids, we're fully with them. We're fully present. Because presence is spelled Love.
Ooh.
And so if you are giving them presence, you're giving them love. I know so many women that complain to me, or men that are clients that tell me that their ex-girlfriend said, when I talk to you, it's like talking to a brick wall. No matter if you have all the other boxes checked in life, the finances, the health, the friends, whatever it is, if you can't be present with your women, she will not feel safe and she will not feel loved. And so what's keeping us from being present, what's stopping us from having that deep connection is our mind racing 1,000,000 miles per hour because of these stories going on in our head that we believe we must upkeep to stay in the position that we're in. So I know a lot of men, and this is actually my past version of myself, there were like little lies I'd tell to a few people, I exaggerate in a few things, and as if I had to keep a ledger of everything I said, so that if they were to ever ask me about something, I know what version of myself I told them. I know a lot of people experience something like that. All of that is incredibly time and energy consuming up here. And so when you're talking to someone And you're thinking, wait, how much of this does she know? How much of this is that? Okay, how's the outfit? How's this? How's that? All these things are robbing us of just being fully present with them. And our level of presence will increase as soon as we kick out all the other bullshit that's causing these stories to take place. And so if you're truthful and authentic in all moments, there is no ledger that needs to be stored up here that you need to constantly reflect on with every person you come in contact with. How do I want them to view me? That all just goes in the waste bin. It allows us to lock into a certain mode of complete presence. And presence is the key to every woman in your life feeling more safe, more loved, and want to be around you. Not just romantically, but also sister, cousin, mother, aunt. They can feel the level of presence and energy you give them when you step into the room with them. And it makes every woman feel safer and more loved, and they'll be attracted to you in that way. You'll be a magnet for high quality people. And it's just, once you make that shift and you see in your own life, it is the ultimate game changer. This not only stems from, finding your dream person, but this stems into business deals. This stems into everything. When you tell the truth in all moments, you walk into the room with your head up a little bit higher, while also your shoulders a bit more relaxed. You feel free. You feel trustworthy. And I mean, I've had clients, I've had business partners like, I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know your plans. I don't know your true competence or intelligence, but I just trust you. And things just work out perfectly. All that stems back to having the trust in oneself to tell the truth and be authentic in all moments. The truth is the gateway to love, and love is the gateway to all connection. I'm not sure if that really answered your question fully, but that's definitely what I have to say on that.
I love that, my love. And I'm curious, how do we trust ourselves more? What's the protocol? Where does someone listening to this start to build trust in themselves?
The number one thing, and this is someone you can do whether you're a true deadbeat living in your mom's basement, or like I said, a more high-performing individual with a lot of the boxes checked, and that is keeping the promises you make to yourself. Right? And so I gave the example of conversations that will come up and you may have the feeling to leave or feeling to engage with someone else, whatever it is. Of course, to feel into that and do what feels right in those moments, that'll definitely help you keep the promises you make to yourself. But there's also daily things that we can do that will, brick by brick, day by day, increase the confidence that we're really about that life. We're really out here standing on business for everything. And for men in particular, I've helped many, many people go from broke, deadbeat, severely overweight on the couch to now living a life that they love. And that really comes down to keeping the smallest promises you make to yourself. Like the first one I always start off with is just waking up and going to bed at the same time every day. You can still continue, and for these people, eat Doritos all day, play video games all day, scroll on TikTok for 6 hours, and do whatever you want. But the first promises we're going to keep to ourselves, we're going to wake up at 6 a.m. every day for a week. That's it. Wake up at 6 a.m. Let's go to bed at 10. Let's make sure we get some 8 hours in. Besides that, if you want to spend, the other 16 hours a day doing jack shit that's destroying your life, sure, go right ahead. But just do that for a week. Well, after that week happens, after those 7 days happen, we begin to habit stack. So we add something on top of the first week's habits to begin to create a life that is actually positive for us, right? So now that not only have we, and this is the important part, we've proved to ourselves we could stick with something for 7 days, we're now getting a good 8 hours of sleep that'll make us feel more energized, more calm throughout the day. So it's a health routine and also a confidence routine that's making that happen. Mm-hmm. The next week comes around, we can then add a morning half an hour walk right after waking up. So 6 a.m., you wake up, get some water, do your thing, and then go for a half an hour walk. And that's the only thing we have to add to this habit stacking for that week. Another week happens, we add something else. We add maybe a little bit of meditation, or we add, hey, no candy this week. I'm not saying you gotta go vegan or you gotta go carnivore, but just no candy this week. The next week we add on something else. Next week we add on something else. As this whole routine is happening, day by day, brick by brick, we are keeping the promises we make to ourselves. This is how I changed my life. This was me about a year ago, starting from square one. This is exactly how I did it. And over the span of weeks doing this routine, the span of months doing this routine, not only did I now have a routine and lifestyle that supported my life day by day, I also had the confidence to go to like, okay, I can add more to my plate and I'll be all right. Because I've proven myself the past few months that I'm going to stick with my word, even on the small stuff. And so when that is the case, when you have more confidence about waking up at the same time every day, you also have more confidence that you will follow through on anything, no matter how big or small. And that's exactly what people want, because that is trust. You feel trustworthy to others. So if people are starting from scratch, that is something I would highly, highly recommend. On top of that, the one thing that I've created, Solitude 60, which I believe is the ultimate habit for anyone to add on to their life. Solitude 60 days of 60 minutes a day of solitude. You don't need to do meditation. You don't need to do breath work and these other more woo-woo things. You just need to sit alone in a room or outside by yourself with your own thoughts and feelings for 60 minutes. Oftentimes, what happens in that hour a day is all of the ideas, thoughts, or feelings we've been distracting ourselves from by endlessly scrolling on our phone, needing to hang out with someone at every single moment, shoving our face with food, whatever it may be. When all those distractions are subdued and you're only sitting there by yourself, the things you've been avoiding will come back in. Oftentimes, those things we've been avoiding are ways that we can improve our life, are ways that we can be more loving to ourselves and others. And the more that we give those thoughts and ideas some air to come to us, some space to finally be felt, that is when we get a very, very clear understanding of the game plan for the next chapter of our lives. So an example for myself, when I embraced solitude consistently, there were conversations I knew I needed to have with people in my life that I've been avoiding. There was a conversation with my ex-girlfriend I need to have. There was a conversation with some of my best friends from college I need to have, best friends from high school I need to have, conversations with my parents I need to have. These things became on my awareness because I gave myself the space for that to happen. If I just continued to distract myself the entire time, I never would have thought of these. But those conversations were coming up to me for a reason, because those were my current areas of unfreedom, current areas of not being aligned with truth. And so if you do not deal with those things that come up, they will continue to come up. They will compound every day that you sit down for that Solitude 60. And it will almost get so painful. They're like, I got to have a conversation. And once I had the conversation where I spoke my truth on a few things, and sometimes that meant apologizing, and sometimes that meant airing some grievances about what happened from the past. When I spoke my truth in the most loving way I possibly could, I was now free from it. So once I had a conversation with my ex-girlfriend about certain things, the negative voices that I assigned to her that were in my head, once I had that conversation, fleed away. No longer had any control over me. I let those go. Same with conversation with old friends. Same with conversation with cousins. Same with conversation with her parents. As soon as I addressed it and said, I'm going to share my truth no matter how they react, I'm going to say it in a loving way. I'm going to take their perspective and their life story into consideration, but I'm going to do what feels right for me in this moment and say it. Once you have that conversation, you're now free from it. And so if I am giving myself the space to have these very, very important topics to come up for me, while simultaneously, incrementally building habits and routines through habit stacking, adding a new one once a week, that is shifting how I spend my day to day. If you're doing both those simultaneously, you will increase the confidence you have in yourself, while also telling the truth more often than you ever have before, And the more truthful we are to ourselves, increases the capacity of love we have for ourselves. Increasing the capacity of love we have for ourselves exudes love for everyone and everything around you. And that is how we don't have to find, but we will attract the right people, including romantic people, into our lives when it's ready. But to be honest with you, it'll feel so good once you get that level of freedom, the level of truth, that you're truly at peace with whoever or whatever comes in your life and whenever it does. And so this is a formula that I've never heard before. There's no playbook for this out there, at least to my knowledge, prior to doing this. But this is just what felt right to me throughout this whole process. And it has allowed me to, what I've realized was release the brakes that I've had my entire life, right? If you think of life as a car, right? I love cars. If you think of life as a car, of course, there's the brake and the accelerator. And I'd always be trying these things. So it was starting a business or trying to get my health in order or doing all the things. So I'm pressing the accelerator. Let's go. Let's get things rolling. But for some reason, the car wouldn't move. And I get so frustrated, I just give up. What I didn't realize was that there was a brake also involved in that. And these stories that I had within my mind, this unsettled conversations or business I had with others, was putting pressure on a brake within that car that no matter how much I pushed that accelerator, I still couldn't go anywhere. That brake is happening due to unfelt emotions, unthought of thoughts and ideas. So once I finally think and feel what I've been avoiding, the pressure of that brake releases incrementally. And that is what allows me to also apply pressure to the accelerator to then move my life forward. Now, for those that are looking for rapid evolution to prime themselves for the right person or just their highest calling in life, it is highly, highly worth it to understand what is currently fueling that brake pressure. Because if we can unravel that, if we can relieve that pressure, then it's all offense, baby. It's all offense. The accelerator is love and offense. The brake is fear and defense. So what I've been doing for a lot of men, they come to me for one thing, right? They come to me to attract their person. They come to me to finally get out of their own way to start that business. But we end up, priming them to have that conversation with their father they've been avoiding. Have a conversation with their best friend they're avoiding. Their ex-girlfriend, whatever it may be. There's been a dime a dozen for every single story. But it all comes down to the experiences we've had in our life that made love feel like it was conditional. When we feel as if love is conditional, we change how we act. We change how we operate our lives. But acting as if love is conditional in the same world that we can give ourselves unconditional love is the cause for all human suffering. And so many people are so far gone, they're so entrenched in these stories that if I even marry this person of a different skin color, what would my parents think? Even if I get a slightly less status-driven job, what would they think? All these stories are going on so much that we're forgetting that we don't actually need their approval. We're forgetting that even though we can still love them, we can still be there for them, and also not live our life doing exactly what they say. And we can actually love them more and be there for them more once we drop these stories of how we need to live. Because promoting a story that's incongruent for what we actually want, what we know is right, like we said in those conversations, is creating a bit of judgment, resentment, and hatred. Sometimes slightly, sometimes in a major way, towards those same people that we know we're just supposed to love. And so all of the fear that we have in our heart is projecting undesirable emotions towards the world. And we look at through that lens of you only doing what your parents want, you living your life based upon what your parents want or what you believe society wants. The same people you're supposed to be loving, you're actually creating resentment towards because you're going against what you know to be right. You're sacrificing your own love for yourself for the supposed love of others. But when you realize that's all bullshit, it's all an illusion, and that we can take back our power by respectfully and lovingly telling people, I'm going to live my life in the way that I want to live, a way that feels right for me. No matter what the parents say, no matter what the government says sometimes, no matter what all these other outside entities may say, I'm going to do and treat people in a way that feels right to me at all moments. That is the key to confidence. That's the key to another level of love. That is the key to raising our vibration, achieving a better energy that will then attract everyone and everything you've ever desired. So we talked about a lot there, but all it really comes down to is understanding that we all deserve to unconditionally love ourselves. That's actually our natural state. We've just forgotten. And the more we can love ourselves, the more our external world will reflect that. And then there will literally be an abundance of people coming out of the woodworks to be your friends, to be your romantic partners, to be anything and everything you've ever had. In business, like I'm telling you, I've experienced this firsthand. Business opportunities, everything will be in abundance because the love you have for yourself is in abundance. Thank you for letting me speak on that. This is literally my ethos for living, is helping people better understand this.
I love it. And let me just tell you, as someone who spends all day long in a house with this man, as he has become more himself, more comfortable, more loving, more trusting of himself, he magnetizes things by just literally speaking. Oh, it'd be amazing if I got a client today. Boom, someone DMs him. Oh, I'd like to host a retreat. Boom, Jack Moses sends him a voice note. I swear to you, it's almost like he is putting an Amazon Prime 2-day delivery on his desires, and they always happen for him. Why is that? Because he keeps himself clear. How do you keep yourself clear? You tell the truth. You honor your desires. And let's just get one thing clear from what you've been saying. I think we have gotten the concept of self-love wrong. We're missing the core component of self-love. It is not taking a long bubble bath with candles or treating yourself to a massage. That'll make you feel amazing and you'll feel physically better temporarily. But true self-love is living a life that feels exciting to you in as many moments as possible. If you are following the most exciting option in all moments, you will love your life because you are an active creator of your life in all moments. And because you love your life, the people around you can feel it and they will love being around you. As you said, as within, so without. You attract what you are. You don't attract what you want. If you want something, you have to become it. And then it comes to you effortlessly instead of you feeling like you have to claw your way up a mountain to get someone to like you. If you were to flip it and say, what do I want? Seriously, I want you to, after this episode, take out a journal and write out a checklist. Now, this is not a checklist relationship like I want a 6'2", handsome Leonardo DiCaprio, blue eye thing. I'm talking about qualities. I'm talking about I want someone who prioritizes health. I want someone who wants to spend Sundays cozy on the couch watching a documentary. I want someone who really wants to invest in creating a loving family with an abundance of joy to give to our children. I want someone with a service mindset who is an active contributor in the community. I want someone who walks into the room with a positive mindset and leaves people better than they found them. I'm talking about qualities here. This is not your standard checklist on dating apps. This is the quality of value checklist. Write as many as you can think of, right? This is not even coming from the mind. It's coming from the heart. It's coming from the body. You go down that list and you say, am I all of these things that I want? You need to be really honest with yourself. How do you get honest with yourself? Solitude. You spend more time with your own voice. That will clarify so much. You can audit yourself honestly and say, of what I desire, what am I hitting the mark of? What am I missing? Work on the things that you are missing, because you're missing them right now. In a month, you could have it in abundance. If you do what Cam said on building that trust incrementally, habit stacking. But it all starts with not only telling the truth to others, but telling the truth to yourself. And if you can get that barometer going, if you can tell the truth to yourself and others in all moments, and take this method of habit stacking to build yourself into the version of yourself that you would want to be with as a partner, would you date you? That person that you want. That person that you want, if you become them, they will be attracted to you. We met in person in a yoga studio. No dating apps required. Why? Because we did what we just told you. I became the person I was looking for. I became the love I was looking for. And it found me. And he's right here.
I absolutely love that. I love the idea of a list. I think it's really important to understand. So as men, if we want a caring, loving, smart, intelligent, the whole list of, soft skills, hard skills, whatever it is that we want in a person, skills, I'm acting like it's a freaking job, but you know what I mean? We need to ask ourselves, well, what does that person want? What do they want in their person? That's who you need to become. And every single person wants someone with a high capacity of love. They've never had a way to articulate it because they don't put that in commercials. They don't put that on Tinder, but that's what they want. And when you love yourself, you become a magnet for everything you want. And thankfully, you met me at literally the perfect time. I really feel like we attract each other at the perfect time. We were both ready because we did this work. We told the truth to so many people. We felt more free than ever before. I'm so glad I met her when I did, because if you met version of me 2 years prior, it would not have worked out. And so I'm just so grateful to understand what it really takes for people to change their lives in a very impactful way, in a very effective way, and to do it in a very short time span. This doesn't take that long if you don't want it to.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I see life through this lens, taking full responsibility, taking back all my power, telling the truth in all moments, expressing as much love as I possibly can, there's no other way to live life. The quality of life skyrockets because people want to be around you. And this works even if you're ugly. You probably weren't expecting me to say that, but this works
expecting that.
no matter what. Good vibes can be felt no matter the external appearance. And people want to be around you.
I love that, baby.
Yeah.
As we close out this beautiful episode, I want to ask you, my love, after working with so many men on an abundance of things. Now, there are men who come to Cam because they feel like they have it all, but they're like, what do I do now? What's the point? I'm not happy. I don't have the love of my life. I'm missing this thing. Or they'll say, I'm afraid to start that business, to put my face on camera, to approach the girl at the coffee shop. This is the kind of thing that leads people to Cam. If someone out there is listening to this right now and can resonate with any of these fears, what would you tell them?
I would tell them the level of fear they're currently experiencing is optional. There are actions we can do, there are beliefs we can adopt that will lessen that fear, not only for that aspect of life, but all aspects of life, that will allow us to actually become the person that we're now capable of being. And so that's exactly what I do, is I help men in particular, but men and women, reduce the level of fear they have in their life which conversely will increase the capacity of love they have for themselves and everyone around them.
I love that. I love it. Thank you for joining us for this wonderful episode. We hope you enjoyed it and got some good nuggets of wisdom. Oh man, we may have to run it back and keep that one going. I wish we could go longer, but y'all know how it is. If there's anything that came up for you during this episode that you'd love our take on, we are more than happy to chat about questions that we get live. We may even have a Q&A episode coming up soon. So continue to DM us. You can pop any little comments or questions in the suggestion box below. And we love you so much. Thank you for being here with us. And we love you. We'll see you
y'all.
next week.
See you soon.
Bye, y'all.